We're going to keep going with this theme of kitchens and manufacturing and new innovations in our industry. So we're very happy to introduce our next two panelists talking about shared kitchen spaces, co-manufacturing, and co-packing, which are creating growth opportunities for new brands, allowing them to develop products without carrying all of the operating and compliance costs on their own. So today we're excited to welcome Amber Center, the CEO of Breeze Distro, a distributor of high quality cannabis products. Amber is also one of the co-founders of Supernova Women, an advocacy group that provides spaces and resources to women of color in the cannabis industry. And she most recently became the founder of Equity Works, the nation's first state-funded equity manufacturing incubator for cannabis edibles, which we're so excited to hear more about today. Sharing the stage with Amber is Annie Holman, the co-founder of the Galley, a state-of-the-art cannabis co-manufacturing and distribution facility. Before the Galley, Annie ran Derby Bakery, one of the first brands to put high-end CO2 oil into their cookies to provide relief for very sick patients. So we're excited to hear stories about navigating the worlds of shared kitchen spaces and cannabis incubators. Many small businesses were a casualty of legalization, but these shared production spaces could really change that. So these types of models may just be the remedy for small equity businesses to survive and thrive in today's legal landscape. So this will be a one-on-one 30-minute conversation between Amber and Annie. And I'll let you both kick it off from here. Amber, I'll pass the mic to you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And I'm hoping that, oh, there's Annie. Hey.
Good morning.
People, where is she? There she is. The grid.
I got my shirt on.
Nice. So I guess, Annie, maybe you can kind of kick it off and talk a bit about the Galley and what you got going on in Santa Rosa.
I sure can. So we are located in Santa Rosa, and we are a co-manufacturing facility. We also do have a shared space license as well. We produce all kinds of edibles, topical tinctures. We can do pre-rolls, vapes, packed flower. We produce all kinds of chocolate and candies. We have a full packaging room. So the idea around our business is actually to be as fully automated as we possibly can. We also have a distribution license. We originally pulled that license to just help facilitate with the testing, but what I'm starting to realize very quickly is that a lot of our mid-range and old guard legacy clients are very much in need of distribution. And so we're actually going to bring up a smaller distribution. What we're doing right now is just fulfillment for clients in the northern part of the state. So that's basically what I'm doing. And what I'd like to talk about today is navigating this situation through COVID. Because we launched with COVID. That was fun. Not.
Yeah.
How about you? Tell us about you.
Manufacturing has definitely been a challenge with COVID, like trying to stay in compliance, social distance within that space, and and staffing. It's not even.
Oh boy.
But yeah. So good morning, everyone. My name is Amber Center. CEO of Breeze Distro, where we are a manufacturer and distribution company headquartered in Oakland, and also co-founder and executive director of Supernova Women. Supernova is a group of women of color that works to empower people of color to become self-sufficient shareholders in the cannabis industry. So we advocated quite heavily in the city of Oakland for social equity program, and it's been pretty awesome to see how that conversation has carried not just throughout the state of California but also across the country. And we're just constantly pushing to lower barriers of entry for people of color and folks that have been disproportionately affected by the war on drugs, and making sure that when legalization is implemented in different places across the country, that there are equitable laws that are giving back to the communities that these horrible war on drugs laws have taken from our communities. So I did. So the city of Oakland put out an RFP, a request for a proposal for a shared manufacturing facility. And that was really exciting when they did that, because that was something that Supernova, the Hood Incubator, different advocates in the cannabis community have been advocating for a number of years, because we saw how high the barriers were for folks trying to get into the industry and how exclusionary it was because of these super high barriers. So when the S-type license was actually created because a number of these different community organizations have been advocating for it. And then Oakland issued this RFP, basically looking for groups that were willing to run and operate a shared manufacturing facility. So we wrote a proposal and we won that contract. And now we've kicked off the program. We just closed the application process on Friday, which is really exciting. We had 28 people apply for a space in the kitchen, and there are a total of 12 spaces. So this is going to be pretty competitive.
Yeah.
We start going through applications this week. I've actually already started, and we start interviewing folks, I think, at the end of this week, on Friday this week. So once we pick folks to interview, there's going to be an interview process that happens pretty much towards the end of October. And then by the end of October, we'll make our selections. And then around the 1st of November, we'll start working with those equity applicants that were selected on getting their local authorization as well as their state licenses. So really, really excited about this program, really excited to help people build sustainable businesses.
That's wonderful. And I echo the comment about finding the right people to be in your space too is really important. And I'm a huge people person, as many of you know. And that, a lot of my customers always say to me, well, what's most important to you? And I always say, well, you are. Because if we can talk about stuff and get things down and work it all out, we're all good. And so I'm finding that connection has been really important to me, because we do have a couple people that come in and use our space. Mostly we're doing the work, but we do incorporate our clients while we're working. We want to make the best product that we can for them. And so we want them to come in, especially in the first couple runs, and, do the R&D with us. And so, it's really nice to have a good connection with people. So for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be really important in our facility too, really, because we're offering so much support throughout the process.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're helping folks source cannabis. We're doing group testing so that everybody can get a much lower cost with testing. Mm-hmm. And we're also placing them on retail shelves with strategic retail partners. Mm-hmm. So, I want to make sure that the products that are coming out of Equity Works Incubator make sense for the market, and also make sense for the equity operators and their margins,
Yeah, we do the same thing. And I find that such value. I mean, there's a lot of our customers, they range from very big customers that are just tired of manufacturing to, old guard legacy brands to brand new IP. And, I really try to, like yourself, I provide people with packaging sources. So you're not, that, like, I have a guy who I work with. In fact, Amber, I can give him, I'll give you his name because he's great. And he sources all of his materials right here in California. And, there's no cannabis tax on this. So, and that's really important for me to be able to provide, like sourcing the cannabis, sourcing the ingredients so they can make their product, at a good rate. And it's win-win for everyone. And so I like to have really open dialogue with my customers about my pricing, about what their COGS look like. And we just really sit down together and hash it out and say, okay, how is this win-win for for everyone. And most of the time I'm able to do that. And I know that, my customers really appreciate that type of advice. And to your point, I will tell someone if they come up with some wacky idea that I don't think is going to work. I'm very, very delicately, of course, but I mean, I will give my opinion, and same with on packaging and how it looks, and because that's, all that stuff on the shelf that's important stuff now. So
yeah, and I think
I'm finding that's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I'm also partnering with the data company to analyze the data. Just
great idea.
Kind of reinforcing some of these. It's just so they don't think I'm just giving my opinion. Like,
right.
Sure, this is my opinion. I happen to be the COO of Magnolia Oakland for 6 years, so I do know kind of what a consumer is looking for, but. Don't take my word for it. Here's the data.
Right. That's actually a really good idea. That's a really good idea.
I think that's critical. But because I have this relationship, and I'm the distributor for these with these strategic retail partners, I want to make sure that their products move.
Right.
And not only just for their sake, but for the sake of the program.
Right. That's right.
To continue to be funded. And we have measures of success that I've told the city of Oakland that we're going to hit, So I need to make sure we're hitting these things. Yeah. So the first measure is the program is successful if they get their state license, right? So none of this happens if they don't get their state license.
Correct.
The second is making sure that they produce a product, right? Because that's obviously the next step in the process. And also, great, we've made a product, next milestone met. And the last is revenue based, because obviously they're not going to have a sustainable business if they're not generating revenue.
Well, right. Or if they make too many products, like a lot of people come into my shop and they're like, I want to make 15,000 units every week. I'm like, no, you don't.
Right.
I really try to be honest with people about that. I'm like, okay, let's start out with 2,500 or whatever it is, depending on the product.
That is our target as well.
Yeah. And nobody ever pushes back on me and says, Annie, because I really just try to be honest with them. I want to help, because again, win-win. If they make 2,500 units and they can sell it, then they're going to be back next month. And that's good for me. If they make 15,000 units, they don't sell it and all rots, I don't know what's going to happen, And so I really try to help people be realistic, especially some of the newer people in the industry, because I've only been doing this 6 years. Of course, that equates to like 40, but or at least, anyway. So I think I find my customers really appreciate all that extra help. I mean, I used to be a graphic designer, so I have a whole plethora of designers who, again, are not going to charge the cannabis tax. And that's a big deal for me. So I have this pod of people that I can send out. And I really take the time to help my customers, even though honestly, that wasn't really my model to begin with, but I'm finding out that it's paid off for me significantly, just building these long-term relationships.
Yeah. I used to be a graphic designer too.
Oh, did you? Oh, cool.
Kind of, sort of still am for my own.
Yeah, no, me too, by the way. I have like 5 jobs at my company. I'm the CEO, the CMO. I'm like, what does CEO mean? I had to Google that, I was like,
janitor, all of it.
Yeah, no. That's the only job I don't have, actually. I'm like, sorry, people, I don't have time for that.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. And the manufacturing facility, like, no.
I clean up after myself.
So. Yeah. But yeah, maybe we can talk about that a bit, like protocols as far as COVID is concerned.
Yeah.
What kind
of?
So
I could talk a lot about that. Very recently, last week, we have gone 6 months without a positive test. And last week, my director of operations came, she contracted it from her husband. And of course, she's everywhere and all over the plants. I'm in direct exposure with her every day. Of course, we put incredible protocol in place, everything you need. I'm also in constant contact with my staff. We literally have weekly COVID meetings. We've engaged our staff for all of their ideas, questions, comments. So we really stay in touch, because leading this company, if I just stay on the outside of this, I mean, it doesn't work. It's just like, I really want to be in with my staff, and they need to understand that, guess what? I'm scared too. I mean, I'm 57. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I got a lot of living to do. So, so I let them know that, like, I feel the same way you do. So what happened for us last week is, I was so proud of us for setting everything up, and, we're limiting visitors, and, taking every precaution possible, but, it's nobody's fault. I mean, this is going to happen. And so, but I got to tell you, my staff was just, whoo, I mean, it was really hard to manage. It was a whole week of management, and I learned a lot of lessons about, how to deal with the fear. I mean, because the fear was rampant. I mean, just drooling and rampant. And the problem was, and the bummer was, both myself and my director of operations could not be on site, obviously, because, we've both had to be tested. I've been tested. I'm negative, so I can go back to work. But I mean, thank goodness for my HR person. I mean, literally, my whole staff would have been there, just like walking around in circles like the dawn of the dead. And that's no slight against them. It was just, there was nobody there. And it was, oh my goodness. So it was quite challenging to get that process in place. And we learned a lot of, new details about when, you need to get tested and when you can come back. And so basically what we did for the staff is we got everyone tested, and we shut down the plant. We had a couple R&D projects that were coming in. We canceled them. I mean, we just shut it down and slowed down. And that was the right thing to do. So this week we're going to bring people back, a little bit at a time. But, I have to say, everyone was, all the clients and customers, very understanding. Obviously, we're all dealing with this. So, but yeah, you can set everything up perfectly and take every precaution, and it can still happen very easily. And so I guess I was just thinking it wouldn't happen. And probably that's a pretty naive statement for me to make, but I'm like, okay, we've gone 6 months, because we literally launched right when COVID started, literally like in March. And I'm like, what is this? And so we had to navigate that whole thing too, and try to figure out, deal with all the unknowns and the fear, the immediate fear. And so that took about a month to kind of settle everybody down and put all that in place. So that's what's been going on for me.
Yeah, it is, we have been, at least at the new shared facility, trying to figure out a number of different protocols that we can implement to, try and mitigate a COVID outbreak as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, by the way, an outbreak, you have to be very careful with the language. Sorry to interrupt you, love, but I messed this up. The outbreak is if you have 3 positives or more. So you have an incident. Okay. one if you have 1 positive. Yeah. So and apparently that language is really important, because if you think about what the word outbreak means to everybody, what does that mean? That's widespread panic. So
right.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No COVID whatsoever at the facility.
Yeah, exactly. Incident. So, 1 positive.
So, right. So we have.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, we implemented. There's just, of course, a screening at my other facility before you can even enter. There's a hand washing station outside.
Right.
There's
temperature guns.
Right, temperature gun. There's masks. All of gloves. All of that as soon as you walk into the place.
Exactly.
But at the shared facility, there will be,
different people coming in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, how do we mitigate all of that there? Yeah, thermal scanners is something that we got at the new facility. Mm-hmm. So you walk in.
Are those the ones that they're kind of up high and you just walk by them?
Yes.
Yeah, I was at Kaiser the other day and there was nobody there with the temperature gun. I'm like, what happened? And they're like, oh, it's that.
Yes.
Oh, so you got that. Oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that too.
that, and then, you know, we're taking some extra precautions in between the cleanings of the facilities, between the companies coming in and making products. So there's a whole day of basically, of cleaning and sanitation that happens. And, you know, it sucks because it takes away time in the kitchen, you know, it takes away production time. And
so we've been doing that kind of off hours, sort of more towards the end of the day. We've been having somebody come in, you know, after everybody leaves and do that. And also another little tip for you is during the day. Like we have split up our entire crew, and we're like, okay, you're spraying down the door handles, you're doing this, you're doing that. And so during the day, and then also we have strict protocol and rule as you as a person. Like, for example, if I go in and use the bathroom, I have to spray that whole thing down. And we just have big things of hand sanitizer. You use the microwave, you spray it down. The other thing we did is we made these signs that said clean and dirty. And so like if you use the conference table, the minute you sit down and there's a big bottle of hand sanitizer spray, if you use the conference table, you sit down, you turn that over so it says dirty in big red letters. And so when you get up, you're staring at this thing, you have to turn it back over to clean and spray the whole area down. So you know, as a person who's used the space, are responsible for cleaning the space. And that works really well, actually. So, yeah.
Okay.
And these are all ideas, by the way, that I did not come up with. My staff did, because I engaged my staff. So, you know, I would recommend that too. You know, like I said, we have these weekly COVID meetings, and everything's shifted and changed so much since the beginning of this. That's why I decided I need to connect with my staff every week. How you doing? What's going on? Anybody got any new ideas, new concerns, stuff like that. So, and I also engage with our customers as well, because they have to follow all of the same stringent rules that we do. And guess what? You know, we had a situation where one guy's mask kept falling down, and I was like, I'm sorry, but you have to get a new mask. Here's one, or, you know, or you have to leave, because it just was always coming down below his nose, you know. So you also have to be aware of what other people are doing around you. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So I was just scrolling through the comments here in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Someone asked a question. Amber, do you have any companies in your incubator? How many? How is it working? So the incubator itself is not operational yet, because we just launched the program. We're still sorting through applications. There will be 5 at my kitchen. There's actually 2 cannabis kitchens in Oakland. There's the Equity Works Incubator, which is mine, and Oakland Cannabis Kitchen, which is another in East Oakland. And they will have 7 folks operating out of there. It's a little bit bigger than ours. It has a few more capabilities as far as they have a type 1 hood. So they can do a number of different things like frying chips or baked goods, where ours is pretty much set up for just infusions. So, but yes, how is it working? We'll see, but so far, so
I mean, our shared space people actually are working out really well. We have them come in. We only have 1 shift right now. So we have them come in after the shift, and then we have one of our employees who kind of hangs out, and but we don't have too many people doing it, but we definitely have some, and it's working out really very nicely, actually, really nicely. So, and they bring their equipment in, and as long as it's on casters and that we can store it, you know, that works for us too. So, yeah.
And I'm really excited about exploring the shared spaces and not limiting it to manufacturing. I feel like shared cultivation is also a possibility that something that we should advocate for, because it is such a high barrier of entry, and there's no reason why you can't have some of these huge 100,000 square foot warehouses that are broken down into rooms and considered a shared space.
Totally. 100% agree with you there. Definitely.
Yes.
So for me, like a very important client is the legacy brand, because, a lot of these people that I'm working with, the barrier of entry is so high to get back on the shelves. And these people paved my way. Again, only been doing this 6 years. So, that all my clients and customers are important to me. But this old guard legacy brand, I really, really, for me, it completes the circle of why I'm even doing this, is to be able to help these people get their really awesome products back on the shelves, because all these regulations are, it's making it prohibited. I can never say that word. Never mind. It's making it hard for them to do this. so I really try to, and I've been friends with all these people for a long time too. So it's hard for me, as challenging it was to bring up my facility. I look at what's happening for them too. And it's just like, wow, let me help you here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things about manufacturing, like we were mentioning before, is like, you come in, you make 2,500 units, or 3 SKUs, 2,500 units a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes you, 4 or 5 days, and then you're done.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So then you got this facility that's just sitting there.
Right.
And then this is why SType license is like critical for manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
Especially craft cottage, California
Exactly.
cannabis manufacturers. Like, this is what we used to do in our kitchens.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Now, I have a friend who I ended up buying all of his inventory, and because he went out of business because he couldn't, he was only using his facility 4 days out of the month, and it just the cost.
Well, it is becoming the trend. Like I said, we have some huge customers that I never in a billion years expected to get a phone call from, and I'm done being a manufacturer. In fact, one of them in particular, I bought a whole bunch of his equipment because I tried to source almost all of my equipment used, and now some of the big, more automated machines, the candy machine and the chocolate machine, we had to buy that new. But there's so much great used equipment on the market. You don't need to go down those roads a lot. So
tons. Only thing you gotta buy new is the refrigerated stuff. Everything else you can pretty much get used, and it works just as good.
Well, I'll give you a little tip. So when Starbucks closes and opens a location right next door, they sell all their stuff and buy new stuff. So I ended up getting all my refrigeration from them.
Wow.
For like literally so much less. It was incredible. I mean, I just couldn't believe the waste. So, but I bought it. I bought the stuff. So, I mean, I bought a refrigerator that just had milk in it. So, and it works perfectly fine. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another thing that I talk about that I want to kind of stress to folks that are maybe looking at setting up either an SType facility or their own manufacturing facility is to try and build facilities that don't use open flames. Reason being all the costs, so much higher costs associated with the inspections and the build out of having an open flame in your facility. And you can
that is a big deal. Although with COVID, we had our fire guy just came on like literally 2 weeks ago. We actually did a video inspection with him. But yeah, the inspections for a manufacturing facility are intense for sure, both state and citywide. And of course, with I will tell you that before we even got our licenses, we pivoted and produced a whole like 50,000 pieces of hand sanitizer just to give out to the community. And that is the reason that I'm sitting here with my license today, 100%, because I have a bunch of colleagues in my area that are still waiting on, local rigmarole. And so we, when we pivoted and we did the hand sanitizer and we had some inspectors come in, I was like, well, how about you sign off all the cannabis too? And they were like, okay. And so that's why we got our license. I really think I would be sitting here without a license. I do. I really do. So we got lucky. We got really lucky. So although people are starting to come out, like I said, the fire guy just showed up. So, but that's like 6 months later, right? So, I mean, we had to do a video inspection with them, which was, pretty easy to do because, we have open flame. So we have a gas range. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. That is, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I actually had a meeting with Fire and Building in Oakland on Friday about, what the inspections will look like for the
Mhm.
SType licensees in the kitchens. And I think everything is going to be Zoom.
Yep. That doesn't surprise me. So
Yeah.
like they required that we do a video of every room and all the equipment in the room and things like that. So we just did that, and then it went pretty fast. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of hoop jumping. For sure.
Yeah, but it's really been a lot better this way.
Yeah. Well, I realized pretty quickly that when an inspector says, I'll get back to you in 2 weeks, that doesn't happen. And you have to really like continue to follow up and follow up and follow up. I mean, I literally brought my little army cot down to the city. No, I'm kidding. I didn't. But I was like, hi, me again. So, and I think they're probably this late annoyed with me. So they signed off on a few things. This was before COVID, but I realized that you do have, you can't just wait for them to get back for you. Absolutely not. That doesn't work. You have to just keep, I guess I'll use the word badgering them. So, in a nice way, of course, in a thoughtful, nice way.
Moving through the permitting process period, you got to be real diligent. And
yes.
And
I think we all know that, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm a little too trusting. I'm like, okay, you'll get back to me. Okay. Lesson learned. Well, it's been nice chatting with you. I think our time's about up, huh?
Yeah. Great talking too.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, likewise.
And thank you for this opportunity, Meadowlands. I've really missed seeing everybody and actually going on the camping trip.
Yeah, me too. Thanks. So whenever someone asks me, and I get this question a lot, what's your favorite cannabis event?
Oh yeah,
like
Meadowlands.
Down Meadowlands. Hands down.
Yep.
I'm like
100%.
That's the best.
Me
so
too.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me as well.
Much, Aria, for having me today.
Really thank you so much for being here. I would love you. So one thing that's become a tradition to wrap conversations at Meadowlands is I would love both of you to answer what's one thing the community can do to support you, and what's one thing that you can offer to the community in terms of support.
So I have a very big ask of the community, and that is to continue to advocate for these shared spaces. So this kitchen that I'll be operating was only funded for 1 year, and it's a pilot. So we have to make sure that, please go to the dispensaries and buy these products that come out of these shared spaces. Please tell the dispensaries how much you appreciate them carrying these products. Please tell the city of Oakland how awesome it is that they've allocated $450,000 to this program, and they need to do it again next year. Like, this is critical, so that we can not only have this continue here, but so that it will become a trend everywhere.
I'm just going to have to echo you on that, because that's exactly what I was going to say. So I totally 100% agree with you. And for me, for what I can give back, I am just super well connected, even though I haven't been in the industry a very long time. I just make it my business to talk to everyone. I know a lot of things. So if you have a question, whatever it's related to in any way, shape, or form, please email me or call me or get in touch with me, because I spend a lot of time doing things that aren't necessarily completely related to what I'm doing. But it completes the circle, because I can give back. And I find in this industry in particular, if I call one of my colleagues with a question, I never, ever get somebody telling me, oh, I'm sorry, I can't give you that answer, ever. And so I'm the same, I'm going to help direct you in the right way. If you need packaging sources and things like that, please get in touch with me.